Welcome to the Overcome Depression podcast. The tools you learn here can make depression a part of your past, allow healing regardless of your present circumstances, and offer hope for your future. I am your host, Jennifer Sterling Campbell. Good morning. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, and I have the beautiful LoriKay with us today. Hi, Lori.
Hello.
Now, it's LoriKay, right? You
I
don't
go by
like
LoriKay, yes.
Awesome. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
LoriKay, thank you so much for being here today. We met at an Artist Way group, which we met every week on Zoom to talk about the Artist Way. Highly recommend going through that book, by the way. And it was really helpful to do it with the group because it kept me accountable. But I learned from you while we were doing that program that you had overcome some pretty significant obstacles.
Yeah.
Just a few.
A few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No.
I think you mentioned Hashimoto's, chemical overload, allergies. What else?
It was, the food sensitivities were severe. Skin condition, connective tissue disorder, making extra pain in my body, fibromyalgia stuff. Back then, they didn't even have words for those kind of things when I was going through it. The fibromyalgia was continual. The chronic fatigue was beyond tremendous. The emotions of anger was beyond extreme. I had Hashimoto's, didn't know it at the time. I had chemical sensitivity, food allergies, and I learned later that I was living downwind from a cement plant that burned the nation's hazardous waste. And having had hepatitis as a child, church ate cookies, we all came down with hepatitis. Woohoo! Anyway, Hashimoto's is a thyroid autoimmune condition. And so you can have different symptoms from that. But and when you have one autoimmune, typically you have more autoimmune. I haven't looked into what other autoimmune that I have. I think there's one for my skin. My symptoms express through my skin in very painful blister ways. And when I went to a dermatologist, he had about 5 different diagnoses for my skin. And it made life very challenging. He basically said, don't touch things and don't be stressed. I had a 2-year-old and a new baby. My hands swelling. I couldn't close them. I couldn't use them without severe pain. But the digestive issues were also a big challenge, and the chronic fatigue, adrenal, I don't want to say failure, but the adrenal glands were just, they were at ground zero. And what I found, it's interesting. We met through the Artist Way. I first came to that book through Kundalini Yoga. And it is the Kundalini Yoga techniques that helped me a lot. It was a godsend, actually. And it's interesting, that kind of yoga has a lot of misunderstanding around it. People think it's Kundalini is an energy that's coiled at the root of the spine and is supposed to go up the spine and help you have enlightenment. But people look at it as a sexual thing. It's not. It's an energy down at that root and sacral area that can be considered a sexual energy, but it's not. And so some people are just like, no. But also there is fear around Kundalini Yoga because some people practice it and they open up this energy and their body is not prepared for it to flow up. And then they end up with a nervous system condition because they basically fried their nervous system because they didn't prepare their physical body. And the challenge with it is you can find a lot of things online and they're not prepping your body. And so you need to take it from someone who knows. that is a teacher. But I was led to Kundalini Yoga back in 2002. And my teacher, she was Catholic, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I saying? Because that kind of yoga, well, first of all, I was praying about what to do with this vessel that I was given. Because when I was at my worst, at my level of pain, I exploded. And my anger ended up leaving a bruise on my sweet little 2-year-old. And I was like, no, no. And I was not going to be like my father. My father, he was born in 1936, and his parenting style was one with belts and hard flicks of the hand. You never knew when you'd get a flick, and those flicks hurt. So it was very corporal punishment. So anyway, I was not going to raise my kids that way. And when I left a bruise, that's when I started sending I would have these explosions, and then I would just and push them inside, which is not healthy either. Oh my gosh, that wasn't healthy either. So I was praying what to do. And honestly, during this time when it was so hard and so pain-filled, I did get suicidal. I started thinking of how I could end my life and my children, because I did not want them to go through life without. Anyway, it was horrible. It was really bad. And when I was in this deep despair, it's like, how can you be there? How can you be there? The depth of despair, the the depth of despair and I was so trapped in a pain-filled body 24 hours a day. The level of pain was tremendous. I had no ability to speak. My throat chakra was not open. I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell he could see the rashes on my hands, but I couldn't say I hurt. At that time, I couldn't grasp a knife and cut and prepare vegetables. So he was helping me with that. I was taking the medicine that the dermatologist told me to take, but it was destroying my skin at the same time and hurting my liver. And my liver was already hurt from the hepatitis. And so everything that the doctor was giving me taxed my liver even more, and being dumped on by these carcinogens, these heavy metals that basically make you not think right. The level of dysfunction in this area in Texas was extreme. There was more people going crazy in that area. There were more birth defects in that area. There were frogs that had multiple limbs. There were cows that couldn't stand because their nervous system was no longer working. My firstborn was born with 2 thumbs. And my daughter has a connective tissue disorder. It's luckily that plant is not doing that now, but back then they were, and I lived there for 5 years. And so what happens is the chemical toxicity gets so bad you don't think straight. And luckily for me, what happened was a church member called, and I answered the phone. They snapped me out of it, and that is where I was able to say, Scott, we have got to move. If I stay here, I will die. And I knew about the cement plant at that time. I had been trying to fight it. And so I immediately moved to Arizona. Luckily, he was able to get a job here. Arizona was closer to my family. And the prayers that I would give, I wouldn't feel like they were being answered, but I was so strong in my faith. I'm like, I believe I can heal. I believe I can heal. These blessings I'm receiving, they're going to come about. And so I would pull myself up and be able to pretend that things would be better until I couldn't. And so it was like this pretend thing, but this always praying, please help me, please help me. And so anyway, when I came to Arizona, there were little breadcrumbs that came, and I was able to heal. Big thing that helped me was finding a naturopath who did NAET with acupuncture needles. And he basically treated my body for everything that's ever touched my mouth, as well as regular things like elements, calcium and like regular things that you shouldn't react to. And so I saw him for a year. He helped my body heal. Then it happened, my condition came back after I had another daughter. So it took me about 4 years to feel like I was physically healed. And so, but after she was born, I slid back down into reaction again. And my doctor guy had moved. I tried other people who did other ways of doing the same technique, but they didn't work for me. So I was praying, what do I do? And I came across the foot zoning, which now I am trained in that. And I came across Kundalini Yoga. And I came across progesterone cream, which helped calm me down. It was, I needed that calming force. But what the Kundalini Yoga did, it was interesting. The guidance, when I am praying for help, I try to say to God, please tell me in 3 ways which direction to go. Otherwise, I'm just like, it's everywhere. Which direction do I go? And so my foot zoner said, I think you should do some meditation and yoga. And then I heard yoga from somebody else. And then the newspaper said, free yoga, try all these different styles. And so I'm like, I hear you. And so I went to the yoga studio and there's my theory. And I tried the different yogas. And the one where the spirit was like, whoa, was Kundalini Yoga. And I'm like, that's the weirdest of them all. They had you having your eyes look at the tip of your nose. They had you chanting. They had you doing these breathing things that just felt weird. But I couldn't deny that what I felt as the spirit saying that. And so I started going to weekly classes. And my sweet Catholic teacher, I'm like, I was so afraid of everything. I was so afraid of that I'd be taken down the wrong path. And you're having me chant Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Well, what does that mean? And it means I connect and honor the teacher that's within me and my higher power. And I get to choose who my higher power is. My higher power is Christ. My higher power is Heavenly Father. That's my higher power. And that's who I'm connecting to. And what I learned later when I was going through my training is the dristas, the eye positions, is putting pressure on your pituitary and pineal gland, helping the blood flow, vibrating it in a way to wake it up and decalcify it so you can start feeling inspiration and connection. The calcification that comes from our fluoride and the chlorine, that calcifies those glands and then they don't vibrate. They're just solid. And so doing this yoga style is helping it wake up. The breath work, you can Google what breath work does. Breath work is just awesome. The breath work didn't worry me too much, but I was the only student in her class. I was having a private session for basically 3 straight years, and then she stopped. Yeah, and then I ended up being trained by Felice Austin, who trains a lot of yoga teachers. And what I want to teach you guys is a meditation that dissolves the chemicals that anger creates. What happened is this kind of yoga was only reserved for the masters. Other people weren't allowed to have it. And I can't remember what year it was, but Yogi Bhajan came to America and started teaching the drug culture people here back in the, I guess, early 70s. He's like, that's not how you get to enlightenment. This is a better way. And so a lot of the hippies followed him. And he broke tradition in that he shared, they consider it a technology, that if you do A plus B, you get C. And what happened was these masters, they're like, how do I help this? And then they would get a download. I do this kind of breathing, this kind of posture, this kind of eye drista, and it'll get me this. And then over the thousands of years, it proved that that's what it did. And what is so amazing is now in America, they are doing experiments with some of these meditations. In fact, the Alzheimer's Association touts one of Kundalini Yoga's meditations because it's been proven how it's rewiring your brain. And it's on their site. Now, do they tell you to do the prep work before? No. but they have you. Oh, the other thing is the mudras. So there's different hand positions that you do. And this makes a circuitry. It's an energy flow that helps your body go in a certain way. We have meridian pathways that carry energy, okay? We have positive and negative electrical charge with our body. So like if you played a game where you put your hand on your head this way and your hand out and have someone push, you could be out front or to the side, and have somebody push down and then go this way, you'll get a different effect. One direction, you'll be strong. The other direction, your muscles will be weak because the circuitry is closed or it's opened. Because we have a positive and a negative. And if you're really messed up, you should be strong. If you're like this, you should go weak. If you're like this, if you're opposite, that means we need to help you do some things to help the flow in a helpful way. Yeah. Which would look like doing a cross crawl, doing anything cross, elbow to opposite knee, while doing some strong breathing. That kind of thing would help the electrical energies flow in a helpful way. So it's just like, wires connect, wires don't. So here, this is a popular one that yoga people do all the time, but in Kundalini Yoga, sometimes they have you going like this with your thumbs straight up in the air for a meditation. But it's pulling an energy through something to go down or to put pressure someplace else that is giving input to your physical body. And your brain doesn't need to know what it's doing. Your body's innate healing and wisdom is doing it. It's like your mind doesn't have to say, oh, let's strengthen this kidney meridian by doing this. Oh, let's strengthen your liver meridian by doing this. It's just, let's connect. I have a program where I teach this. I can share the curtain kriya with people that help rewire the brain. I have that for free on my YouTube. I also have the Fist of Anger on my YouTube channel that I give to people for free. And I'm happy to do a sample of that with you guys here. But before I do that, let me just mention a couple things. With anger, learning to process it. Okay. Learning to feel it. So what I found what I was doing was like, oh, I'm experiencing this, run away from it. Let's do this to get rid of it. Let's do this to get rid of it. We are humans having this physical experience, and we need to feel what we feel for at least 1 minute. And so I found I was using my techniques to run away. A minute is long enough to get the physical sensation, to learn what anger feels like in LoriKay's body. Oh, LoriKay's body is now hot. It feels like it's going to explode. I have tightness in my tummy. I have tightness in my jaw. I feel like I'm going to rip my child's head off. What does I feel tension in my shoulders? Okay, this is LoriKay. This is what LoriKay is like when she's angry. Got it. Now I'm going to go process my anger. And so, and you can process it in so many different ways. Emotional freedom technique is another way. And you're tapping the meridian endpoints. These are meridian lines that you're tapping, And a lot online says, even though I feel angry, I completely love and accept myself. I can't do that. Not when I'm ticked off. I'm so ticked off. Yes, I'm mad. You know what? I'm mad and I deserve to be mad. Do you know why I deserve to be mad? This happened and this happened. Yeah, and that too. And I'm ticked. I feel like I need to express and not pretend I am angry, and I completely love and accept. Because right now, I do not completely love and accept myself because I feel like I'm going to explode, and I feel like I'm a bad person. Why am I getting angry? Be honest. Process what you are experiencing. This is a safe way. It's a safe way. Express it. Get ready to have your ears in the car. Sometimes I'm like, express it in the car, not at my family, you know. Gotta get it out. I wouldn't do any of that back when I was, yes, be real. This is what I feel in my body. Pai Sha, I do Qigong. You do tapping, so body tapping. So, just like tap, 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 shake, bounce the legs, shake, shake, or shake, 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 shake. If you shake, coming up here, you're clearing a meridian line. Get, or pull up. I'm serious. Shake it out. Use the physical body after you experienced it for a minute. And yes, when you have little kids, I'm sorry, I didn't have all these tools when I had my 2-year-old and baby. And instead, I shoved it in, and went crazy. And almost went into a horrible place. During those dark times, I held on to some core beliefs. I made myself go to church, even though I felt absolutely nothing. I felt nothing. I was in pain. At that time, the texture of the pews would make my hands bleed because the cortisone cream had thinned my hands so much. And for me and my belief style, that's how I believed I would be blessed. And so I would choose to go and take the sacrament and be there. Even though spiritually I got nothing, I was tired. I was fighting with a 2-year-old. That was my way of saying, help me, help me. So I held on to that. I held on to service. I would call people. I couldn't do much with my fatigue. And so I would figure out ways to connect to people. But I would call people. And eventually I had help with nutrition, detoxing. Nutrition was huge, 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 huge. And yeah, I needed some nutritional components. Homeopathy helped me a lot. Essential oils were too strong with my autoimmune. That vibration was too much. I couldn't do essential oils for autoimmune. I'm not saying that all autoimmune would have a hard time with essential oils. For my situation, essential oils were not. I use them all the time now. Well, not all the time, but I use them in moderation now. So I have essential oils. And the thing is, and now I've gotten into brain rewiring techniques and subconscious reprogramming. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I do energy work. So I have managed to hold on to my faith in Christ and my birth religion with a lot of effort and a lot of reframing. And I teach the children music, and I reframe things in healthy ways. And anyway, it has been a huge challenge for me, but it's so much work on the subconsciousness, on the energy work of getting my ancestors' crap out of my field and out of the epigenetics above my genes. I've done so much clearing up stuff. So since 2010, I have been pulling in different things. That's about the time when I was like, I was going to go back to being a school teacher. My 4th baby was now in school. And when I prayed about it, it was a huge no, because I couldn't keep my health and be the kind of mom I wanted and the kind of teacher I wanted to be. And I'm like, well, God, what am I going to be when I grow up? Because that was my plan. And what came to my mind was to be a foot zoner. And at that time, I still couldn't touch things. I'm like, I can't touch things and I don't like feet. And now, I mean, last night I was doing a foot zone for somebody. And so ever since 2010, I have been learning different ways to help the body and mind to function more optimally. And this year, I started a client club success membership. And I wanted it. Part of the problem that I had such challenges is I had a subconscious belief that I had no value and that I should not be spending money on myself. And so that was quite problematic because I wasn't speaking up that I was in trouble because I knew it cost money to fix the problem. And so what I've done with this program is it's a year of support for $333, and you end up with 24 one-hour practices of brain rewiring, subconscious reprogramming sessions. And so you're ending up with sessions that are like $12. And I share the daily routines that you can choose into and some of this Kundalini Yoga. And for that $333, you also get one private session with me. And the payment plan is, I think it's $35 a month. So it does add up to more than the $333. And I am willing to have like 20 people in it. And I have more space and I'm closing it in January. I have a link if you want to share that. Enlightened Life Path. What the tagline is, lighten your burdens, bring light to your path. And so I'm really good at working within people's paradigms, whatever they are, because I've been through so much. And so if people aren't comfortable with one aspect, I know another way to do it. Because what has kept me alive is learning and getting joy with meeting with the people in those classes. That has brought me joy. I have about 15, maybe 18 different certifications. There's just a lot. Woohoo! And right now I'm doing rapid eye therapy certification. So let me share the Kundalini Yoga, anger meditation, and we're going to start with the chant, and then I'll do the Kriya. The Kriya is the directions. So what I want you to do is we're going to rub our hands together. Rub your hands together. Let me see you rub your hands together. Okay. And we're going to bring our thumb to the center of our chest, and we're going to push up and in. And we're going to feel that area of our body. Feel. Soften your shoulders, soften your jaw. We're going to say the word Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. So breathe in. Close your eyes, look up and in as if you can look at where your nose would touch your skull. It's like back. Bring those eyes back. Breathe in again. And breathe out. Breathe in again. And breathe out. I'm going to not chant too loudly, so hopefully you can hear this. Breathing in to say Om. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. You're using different tones like on a piano, but breathing in again. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Breathe in again. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. I like to do a protection mantra as well. Just imagine light coming down, surrounding all around you. Ad Gide Name, Jugad Gide Name, Sat Gide Name, Siddhi Kudeve Name. Ad Gede Name, Jugad Gede Name, Sat Gede Name, Siddhi Gede Ve Name. Ad Gede Name, Jugad Gede Name, Sat Gede Name, Siddhi Gede Ve Name. Okay, just breathe in and hold your breath, but soften your face. You may breathe when you want. Soften your jaw, soften your shoulders. Imagine light coming down. Okay, you may open your eyes. You're going to make a number 4 with your hands. You're going to curl your fist over. For 3 minutes, we are going to go backstroke. So here's my center line. I'm going over my crown chakra, moving things to the past. Okay? Now you're going to get tired. You can go slow. You can go fast. Okay? And we do O shape through the mouth. Powerful in, powerful out. And you think about everything that makes you angry for 3 minutes. 3 minutes takes forever and a day. Just saying. I'm going to get my timer. And here we go. Think about what makes you angry. Eyes are closed. Keep on that breath work through the mouth. O shaped. Think about what makes you angry. You can slow down your arms if you need to. If you have to stop completely with your arms, imagine moving your arms over your head. Make it over the top of your head. You're not out here, not out here at your ears, over the head. We have another minute and a half to go. Halfway there. No. Think of what makes you angry. Maybe doing this makes you angry. Why do things have to be hard? Why do I have to put forth effort? Why can't I just stop? You can stop and just imagine. Keep the breath going. 1 minute left. Keep going. "40 seconds. Really come up, bring up that anger. What are you mad about? What are you tired of? I'm going to come down, keep on going. I want you to be able to see the tops of my hands. "10 seconds. Go for it. All right. Open your eyes, interlock your fingers. You're going to flip your hands up and you're going to bring them up above your head. Straight arms, okay? Up above your head. Take a breath in. Hold it. Surround yourself with white light, healing light. Hold that breath. Now exhale through your O-shaped mouth. Take a breath in through an O-shaped mouth. Hold it. Surround yourself with white light. Exhale. One more time. Breathe in. Hold it. And exhale. Rainbow your hands down. Rainbow, 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 rainbow them down. Oh. And now we end with a Satnam. That means my truth is my identity. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to say Sat in a second. Breathing in. Sat Nam. Okay. And that is one way to process anger.
If you are new to this podcast, please go watch all of the hashtag introduction videos first, and then consider downloading the Overcome Depression workbook. Links in the description. The content in this podcast is based on my own personal beliefs, is for informational purposes only, and is not intended to substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please refer to the full legal disclaimer in the description.